Hello everyone, this is General Hand Grenade. Welcome to my war room in Prince George, British Columbia. Well, what you're looking at here is a whole set of torpedo boat destroyers and coastal subs. And I couldn't be happier about that, I tell you, because that was a difficult thing to find when I was putting my game together. First of all, they weren't selling these yet. But even when they did sell them, the problem was that they sold them in packs of 5. And like if you look at the French here, there's a torpedo boat destroyer and there's a coastal sub. You can see the French don't need 5 of each, and you couldn't buy them in the game either. Like you couldn't just purchase yourself a couple of coastal subs. What they were, both of these units were units that were left over from World War I. And so you couldn't purchase them. They were just what was left in each nation's arsenal. And so that's why they're on the board. I thought, like, what a great idea to include them for one thing. But it was kind of a drag trying to find something. So what I was doing, like, here I'll show you, if you've seen my earlier videos, like I was using this. It's a cruiser from the World War I game. But the problem with that is that it didn't look very authentic. Because first of all, that was a cruiser, but really the problem that I had mostly with it was that these boats here, the torpedo boat destroyers and the submarines, the coastal subs, they were smaller than the World War II boats. Like these torpedo boat destroyers, they were old destroyers, right? And so they were smaller than the regular destroyers. And the piece that I just showed you there, that cruiser there, that was bigger than any destroyer that I have on the board, And that it just wasn't very authentic. And the other thing is, like, the board can get pretty crowded. And I've got the big map. If you got the small map, then it's even more so. So having an oversized unit like that just wasn't very good. And then the coastal subs that I was using, here's one right here, let me show you. So this is like it's a nice sculpt as well, but it was from the 1914 game, and it's the same size as the regular subs. So they kind of get lost in there, right? Like you have to look really closely at them, and they're supposed to be smaller, and they're not. They're I'm looking at some on the board over there, and they're exactly the same size as the other sub. Excuse me. Anyway, so you couldn't buy a set of these, and that was a real problem for me. So I've been talking with Doug lately, and talking about how we can, or how he can make this game more accessible to people, because the cost is up there, right? I mean, you buy the base game, so you get the map and you get the player aids, but then like you got to download the rules and print them, and then you got to provide all the units yourself, and so the cost is very high, and he knows that. That's one of the reasons that he doesn't put everything into one box, like all of the units on his website that can possibly do that, because it would make the buying it in one sitting too high, and so he doesn't stock them that way. He just lets you buy whatever you want. You can buy the base game, and then you have your Axis and Allies units, and then you can buy units here and there as you can afford them, kind of like I did, right? But these units are unique to this game, and so you're not going to find them in Axis and Allies like you've seen what I was doing there. I was using the World War I Axis and Allies game to do it. But anyway, so what you're looking at here is a set, and it's enough to play the entire, either scenario. So like in the 1936 scenario, for instance, you don't need all of these Russian boats, but I think you need them in the 1939 scenario. So we made sure that everything that you need to play either scenario was there. Like you had the most subs you're going to need in one scenario, and the most coastal torpedo boat destroyers that you're going to need in one scenario, so that you could play either scenario without losing. Now you see this one over here, this white one here. This is how these units over here, you see this colorful line over here. I paint my units, right? And so I painted all these, plus the subs down here, right? This is what you're going to get for neutrals, because like nobody knows what color you have your neutrals, right? So I've said in my videos in the past, the best thing you can do is just get these white units, you know, and just use all white neutrals. That would be the cheapest thing for you to do, right? But me, you know, like I just like to play with my little army men, and I like to paint them and stuff like that. So I've painted all mine up already. But also what I did was I bought an extra set of white ones of the coastal subs and of the torpedo boat destroyers, because when somebody aligns another country, like for instance when Japan aligns Siam, I believe, then I like to change it. So I like to put a Japanese coastal or a torpedo boat destroyer on, and take this one off. See, like this would be the Siamese one, this red one right here. So I want to put one of these on. But so I've got an extra one for Japan, and I got a couple extra pieces for the British and for the Germans, because for the most part they're the ones that get something when it gets aligned, right? One way or the other, whether they just step in and align it, or if they align because they're at war with the other side. It's usually Britain or Germany. So that's what I've done. I bought an extra pack of 5 each just so I could paint them up, because I'm painting them anyway, right? So like these guys here are the color that you get out of box, but I've got my own color scheme. So this is the Americans that I've painted, and this is the French. This is the color out of box of the Japanese, and out of box for the Italians as well. But everybody else I've painted, like this is my maroon paint. I've got, it's just slightly different. Like I think it's a little bit blacker, the Germans, than what I do. Mine's a metallic black, so it's got a bit of a silver tint to it, and so it looks a little bit lighter. Anyway, so yeah, it's a great set, and I'll show you what they look like on the board too. I'll pause the video and I'll set them up on the board in the opening setup so that you can see what they look like in relationship to the other ones, all the other ships that are on the board. Because I've got my opening setup set up here. I'm making videos, rules videos, as you might know already. But anyway, before I do, I just want to show you one more thing. Like I said, he's trying to make the game more accessible. So, for instance, Spain. Like if you buy the Spanish set, or yeah, the expansion set, you're going to get these cardboard roundels, right? Now, I don't like to play with those because like I've got all these custom roundels, right, for my game. And I've had them for a long time. And once you've had these, then it's really hard to go back to playing with these things, because these are so much nicer than the other ones. And you can buy a set of these as well, you know, even if you don't buy the expansion set. You can buy a set of those, and that's cool. But the problem with buying them like this was that you had to buy 10 of these ones and 10 of these ones, and they're pretty expensive, right? They're $6 for 10 these, $6 for 10 of these, and you don't need 10 of them. Like you're never going to need 10 of them. Really, all you need is 4 of these ones and 2 of these ones. But, you know, like they're not going to cut up a set like that. But what I have convinced him to do, and you see this right here. So there's 5 of each to make a set of 10. So you get 5 Republican roundels and 5 nationalist roundels. And these are the nice ones. These are the good ones, right? They're beautiful on the hardboard or whatever that is. It's kind of like corkboard, but it's probably more like a hardboard. And then it's got the acrylic on it, and they're so much nicer. Like they stand out so much better. You look at the difference between this one and this one, and here you look at the difference between this one here and these ones. Like they're just so much more nicer, and they make your game look so much better. So same thing, $6 for all of these, and he's had these on his website for a couple of weeks now, maybe. I don't know if it's been a couple. You find them either in the Nationalist Spain Roundel section or in the accessories for Global 36, Global War 36. You know, like where they have this set of markers and everything like that, and where you can buy extra player aids. Well, they sell these there as well. Anyway, I will put a link in the description box, as I will with the other the set of coastal subs and torpedo boat destroyers. Let me just pause the video though, so that I can set them up on the board and show you what they look like. And we're back. So you can see some of them in here. There is the Romanian torpedo boat destroyer and the 3 coastal subs for the Italians. Now here, if you look here down here, this is their torpedo boat destroyer, and these are Axis and Allies pieces. So you look at the color there, and the color is almost the same. It's a pretty darn good match. The one next to it is a destroyer, so that's why I like these ones, is because it's supposed to be smaller than a destroyer, and it is slightly smaller than a destroyer, just like it was supposed to be, right? So that's the Italians there. There's the one coastal sub for I guess that would be the Republicans. Here's a coastal or torpedo boat destroyer up here for the French. And here you can see the relationship with the Russian sub, or sorry, destroyer, torpedo boat destroyer. So again, the destroyer is larger, and just like it's supposed to be. But you can see how much easier it is to fit these pieces into a sea zone, right? Here's some of the neutrals over here. We got a couple of torpedo boat destroyers here. Plus, I thought that was a Siamese one. It's not. It's for Chile, the red one. I'm still trying to memorize what color my neutrals are, who goes where. Oh, and that was, I forgot to mention that one there. That was the Romanian one in there. Actually, yes, the Russians, that's the only one they have on the board in the 1936 setup, is this one. They have more than anybody, I think 7. I think 5 coastal subs and 2 torpedo boat destroyers. In the 36 setup, there's only 1 torpedo boat destroyer, no coastal subs. So yeah, all of them are in the 1939 setup. Just about all of them. Okay, down over here we've got the Netherlands. So there's a couple of units in here. Anzac doesn't get any. Screw Anzac. Okay, there's you can see the color is pretty close. Actually, is that painted? No, it's not painted. Yeah, so that's the color of the HBG British stuff there, which is pretty close to the Axis and Allies. So this piece is unpainted here. That's really close. As far as the Japanese, there's a coastal sub right there, next to an unpainted Japanese cruiser, and the torpedo boat destroyer is there. A couple of American coastal subs in there, one up in Seattle and the other one down in San Francisco, and they're small, and they were supposed to be, right? Look, they're not very powerful in this game. So yeah, making them look like a real sub is kind of being disingenuous. So here we go. That's the Danish one and Polish. There's the 2 German units. It's the same setup for them in either scenario, 36 or 39. Couple of more Americans over there. Coastal subs they're the 2 that are closest to the shore, and you can see how crowded that is. Like, that's the initial setup. So I mean, that's going to get more crowded. So having smaller ships in there like that are supposed to be smaller anyway is a good idea. There's one thing I forgot to mention, and that's the Chinese one here. He's not going to send you a white Chinese one. He's going to send you the American one, and the American one is a little bit lighter than mine. Like my color for the Americans is a bit darker, and it's been painted. So it would be the same, like the olive drab pieces that you get from historical board gaming. That's the color of the American coastal sub or torpedo boat destroyer that is going to come for the Chinese, right? Instead of a white one. I thought that would be a little bit better than putting a white one in for the Chinese. But if you like to paint your units like I do, then there you go. Like Mine's all painted up, and so it's exactly the same color as the Chinese, and that's really why I painted a lot of my units. Is I started with my custom infantry, and then okay, well that's not the same color, so I started painting everything else. And the Japanese I didn't do that with though, because you couldn't get a color that was really I don't know. The color I found last was like I had a different color before, but the color I have now, like here, he looks pretty close to him, doesn't he? These two. So I didn't need to paint them. And I just like the Russian color more, so that's why I painted them. So yeah, that's going to help out when if you like to buy those kind of Spanish roundels, then that's going to be half the price. And then of course this set here, by buying this set, and I believe it's going to be $24.95. So that's 25 bucks for, I think it's about 50 or maybe just under 48 or 49. I can't remember. I don't have the thing in front of me. But it's, you know, and that's cheaper than what you would pay per unit if you were buying them 5 at a time. So buying the whole set is going to be much cheaper doing it that way, especially if you don't paint your own pieces, right? So yeah, that's going to make it a lot easier to buy these pieces for your 1936 game. And it's going to be hassle-free too, because it's just one purchase and you get them all. You don't have to count them all up and do this and do that. I've already counted them for you. It's like I did with the factories in Global 40. So anyway, that's going to help. And then the other thing he's doing, and I should be receiving mine soon, and I will do a video, is a rules book. So you've seen, perhaps you've seen the Hilltop Pillbox. He did a video on the rules book that that Doug sent him, and I think that was just a prototype. Now Doug has made it's a nicer one, I think. So it's going to have rounded corners and stuff like that. Plus he's going to have the other things, like what I'm talking about here is these reference cards, right? Like let me just move this back. These things here, I think they're going to be laminated. So that's going to be a lot better than what you had to do before. It costed me $106 to print out the rules and the reference cards, because I got the reference cards on something nice. I didn't want just pieces of paper, because you're walking around with them constantly, right? You're gonna rip them or spill on them or get like prints all over them. So you got to have something a little nicer for those probably. Anyway, $106, and I did like in with that was I think four expansion sets that I had printed off as well. But that is a lot of money just to print the rules off, right? And so Doug recognizes that, and he is making rule books for you, and also reference cards, and they will be a lot cheaper than what you're going to be doing, unless of course you work at a place where you can use their color copier. You know, that would be free for you, but other than that, it's not free, right? Because like even if you have your own printer and you're printing them, like you could print it in black and white, but I mean these things are beautiful, right? The rule book is beautiful, and these things are beautiful. Like it's not just a little bit of color on them. There's a lot of color in there, right? And like you would go through a whole cartridge just printing these things off. So you know, that's like I even thought about buying a printer because of how much printing I was going to have to do. But then when I looked at the price of the color cartridges, I just thought, no way, you know, it's cheaper just to get it printed. Because like you probably would have used at least the whole color cartridge. Because it's not white pages either. Like here's some of the rule book right here, and so that's all color, right? It's not just white. But anyway, it's a beautiful rule book as well. And so he's going to have that printed up and made available on the website there. And so this game just got a whole lot cheaper. If you're able to get yourself a set of these torpedo boat destroyers and coastal subs, and get your hands on the rule book, that's gonna lessen the cost by, I don't know, depends on what the costs are in your town, but in my town it was a lot. So anyway, kudos to the people at HBG. That's awesome. I hope that we see more of that in the future. If you remember, I put out that video, A Call to Arms, And that's when I gave him the suggestion of doing these things. And so he ran with that. And I think he might have, like, he did read that, all of your comments. And so I'm not sure if what ones he's gonna do and which ones he's not going to do. If any, him and I didn't discuss that. But who knows? One of your ideas might come to fruition like mine did too. We can only hope. So anyway, that's all I got for you today. I'm going to be continuing my rules series this weekend, and also I think I might throw in an expansion set. I think because the partisan expansion set looks really cool and it's new, I think that I will go through that expansion set. So I'll set the pieces up on the board and show you how to use that one and everything, because I've got a game coming up and I'm hoping to get some footage of that for you as well. And I'd like to use that expansion set, and I'm going to talk to those guys and see what other expansions they want to play, and I'll try to do those before they get here too, so that when you're watching, you will know and what we're doing, and also so I'll know what we're doing because I'm going to have to read them anyway. I might as well make a video of them, right? Anyway, I think this weekend I'm going to try to get to the partisan expansion, so watch for that in the next few days here. Anyway, that's all I've got for you today. Take care, everyone. General Hand Grenade out.